A man puts you in three categories, one of three categories. Either in the freak category, we gonna smash, or he puts you in the friend category. Well, we can hang out with my homegirl, but we ain't, or he puts you in the forever category. It doesn't mean you're gonna be his wife. He just knows you're gonna be somebody's wife.
Lord.
We think we're responsible for the other person's feelings, and we're not. Dating is not about feeling good.
You talked about not wearing a wedding band, because people will watch this and be like, he's married, where his ring at?
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got time to end on this.
Yeah.
All right, so listen.
Welcome to Vault Empowers Talks. We don't just scratch the surface. We dive deep into the lives of some of the world's most influential change makers. I'm your host, Brandi Harvey. Before I introduce my guest for today, I need you to do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you never miss your daily dose of motivation, inspiration, and talks on faith. I'm excited for this one today because we already had the interview before the interview. My guest today, Coach Ken Canion, is a relationship and personal development coach who has helped countless men and women transform their lives. He helps singles and couples navigate the complexities of modern-day relationships. With 14 years of experience and 8 books published, Coach Ken is clear about his purpose to restore and rebuild healthy, happy relationships. As the creator of the Pocket Communication Coach, this AI-generated app helps you formulate words and tone to communicate more effectively in all of your relationships. Currently, you can watch Coach Ken as the resident counselor on the hit MTV show Caught in the Act, Unfaithful, hosted by Tammy Roman. Ken is a husband. He is a father. He is a grandfather. Vault Empowers Talks. Welcome Coach Ken Canion to the show.
I like that. Thank you. All right. Shoot, I feel like I'm doing something.
You are right now. Listen, you're doing a whole lot out here in the world. I'm excited to talk to you today.
I'm excited to be here. I'm a fan of the show, right? And so I was like, one day I'm going to be on that show. Spoke that into existence, right?
You
because
did.
I see the guests that you have
Yeah.
on, and they're amazing.
Thank you.
But they're not Ken Canion.
They are
They're
not
Coach
Ken Canion. And
no.
baby, let me tell you, I ain't had a pre-show the way we didn't just pre-game just now. Okay, so I'm excited for this one. You are a husband of 22 years.
Yes.
You are a father of 2. You're a grandfather of 6.
Yes.
Something tells me you got some experience in the relationship game.
I do.
Yeah.
I've got some experience.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
I heard. Listen.
But I think it all helps you become the person you're destined to become. So so when the word says count it all joy,
yeah.
I look at the good, the bad, the ugly has helped me become who I am today and the person that I am. And I want to start the show off by saying this. I ask all my clients this one question, Brandi. If God gave you a do-over, one thing in your life, I ask myself this question, what would you do over? First of all, you got to be very careful how you answer that question, because if you do one thing over, everything changes.
Yeah.
The whole picture changes.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? Even the stuff that wasn't so good or that I deemed bad at the time, all work together to help me become the person I am today. And I like who I am. And I like the difference I'm making. So I wouldn't change a single thing.
I mean, you are on television. People can find you on TikTok. You're all over Instagram. You are producing so much content to help people change the trajectory of their relationships. But kind of walk me, how did you get to this point? Because you don't just say, I'm going to be a relationship coach.
No. A lot of people do now on the internet.
Oh, child, listen, baby, I would say something, but I won't coach,
No. I think purpose is amazing. But a lot of times, it's kind of the thing you think about, Brandi, when you're riding by yourself. And it's the thing that you say, I couldn't do that. But then it keeps bothering you. It's when you try to put it down, it comes back. Well, that's how this happened. So let me give you the story. Real quick. I know we got a little time, but I want to make it quick. 15 years ago, I had gotten married. We'd been married 5 or 6 years. I had dated my wife a long time. Now don't let her tell you we've been together 12
wife
years
said
a slave.
y'all was dating for 12 years. Not
I
12
don't know
years
why
a slave.
she's saying that. Brandi, that's another conversation. I knew her for 12 years.
Yeah.
But we started dating, I say 7 years,
Yeah.
but 7, 12, whatever it is.
7 or 12, that's a big gap.
Yeah, right. But whatever it is,
Perspective.
we got married. I felt like she was the one for me, but nobody taught me how to communicate. I thought just because we had been married, we've been together so long, it should just work. Now, the dynamics of the relationship changed because here I am, we living together now, right? And so things that I'm thinking she should know or things that she's thinking I should already know, but I'm not communicating, expectations and all of these things. And so we started disliking each other. I was traveling, all of this stuff, and I hated coming home.
And this is, how long are you into your marriage? You said five or
This
7
probably
years?
3, 4, 5 years into the marriage.
The first 5 years, yeah.
Right. And I'm not wanting to come home. Everything I said was an argument. Everything she said was an argument. And I'm going to tell you something. This is the part I want people to get. I've never put my hands on my wife, ever. But some of the words that I said were worse. Some of the words she said to me were worse. And so I remember this. I did a video called How $7 Saved My Marriage. $7. And so let me tell you what happened. One day we were in the house arguing, right? I was on one side of the house. She was on the other side of the house. It's almost like we were probably about 20, 30 feet apart. And we was hurling. She was saying stuff. I was saying stuff. And I'm like, you getting on my damn nerves. I'm going back. I'm reliving this right now. And out of the clear blue, I don't know what it was. She said, can we go somewhere? And I'm thinking, I don't want to ride with you. I can't even stand you, right? But it was something, and to this day, about 2 years ago, I asked her, why did she say that? She said, because I felt like our sanctuary had become a toxic place. So we got in the car. I didn't know where we were going. We just ride. Now, you got to think about it, Brandi. She looking at her window, I'm looking at my window, and we ain't.
Y'all ain't
you
talking.
know what I'm talking about when you mad at somebody.
Yeah.
But
We just here.
We just here. And she said, I'm hungry. Now, we had that in common, right? We were both hungry at the time. But here's the thing. I only had $7. I had just gotten off a reality show called The Biggest Loser, where I lost 100 pounds on the show, and I wasn't really even eating fast food. But that time, I was hungry, and I didn't work for 8 months. Here's the amazing thing about this story. During the 8 months I didn't work, I didn't make any money. My wife worked 2 jobs to pay the bills.
Wow.
She would come and put the money on my desk and wouldn't say one word.
So why weren't you working? You got laid off?
No. I focused on my health. I was 430-something pounds.
Because you were doing the show,
I was
Biggest
doing the show.
Loser.
Working
yeah.
out twice a day.
Yeah.
That was my job.
Yeah.
That was my job.
Okay.
And so on this day, but I was off the show then. And so we were driving down the street, and she said, she said, I'm hungry. I said, I don't have but $7. Because I ain't got but $7.
Yeah.
She said, pull in that Wendy's parking lot. Now, I wouldn't even eat Wendy's, but at this time, I ain't really care. You know, when you're mad, you just be doing stuff.
Yeah.
And so I drove through the drive-through, and then I paid. And then she says, pull over in a parking space. I'm like, for what? And you know that look, you know how I'm looking now?
Yeah.
For what? And she says, I want to figure out what's wrong with us. And then I pulled over. For 2 hours and 42 minutes, we stayed in their parking lot.
Y'all must have had a Frosty.
We
y'all
didn't.
get a
No, the
Frosty?
people from Wendy's came out.
Did
They walked out twice. They were like, y'all all right? I said, no, we good. We just discussed. We just talking. And we figured out in that 2 hours and 42 minutes what was wrong with us. And we came up with a conflict resolution system that simply saved our marriage. When I tell you it's so simple.
In the parking lot
In
at
the
Wendy's.
parking lot of Wendy's.
And folks thinking they gotta go on a cruise, a sabbatical,
Right.
a
In the
expensive
parking lot of Wendy's.
vacation, and you saying in the parking lot of Wendy's.
And when we figured it out, when we talked about it, I realized that I saw her differently than who she really was. Because we never really communicated like on that. We talked deep, but not on that level. And so we started working.
So what was the strategy that you all came up with?
Now, okay, so it's a strategy where we felt like, because you know, a lot of times when you're in a relationship, you feel unheard. She felt unheard. I felt unheard. And so the strategy worked around, we call it the Canion conflict resolution system. Here's how it works real quickly. So you take one issue at a time. You can only take one issue at a time, right? And so when you discuss the issue, here I'm gonna give it to you in its simplistic term. What happens is if Brandi has an issue with Ken, right? She gets to talk unabated, not interrupted for 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. And I'm not looking at my time. She got to get it out, but I cannot interrupt her at all, right? Because she gets to tell me what she's thinking, what she's feeling. I don't get to. And then after she's finished, get this, I don't get to defend myself. I don't get to deflect. I don't get to protect what I'm saying, and I don't get to justify. I can only ask one question.
Wow. Okay.
The one question is, what could I have done, or what can I do to make you feel different? You only get one question. Now, why do we have the one question? Because the one question leads the other person. Now, Brandi has to be a participant in the solution.
Yeah.
Because if you just tell me what's wrong, me go figure it out, I got to figure it out.
Yeah.
But when Brandi said, I says, well, what could I have done to make you feel different? Now you say, you can do this, this, and this. Now we get to discuss, and we become co-creators of the solution.
Yeah.
That one thing saved our marriage. And then I get to do one thing.
Yeah.
You see, and so what the brain does is the brain gets to bring down and focus in on one thing, because where attention goes, energy flows.
Yeah.
And when your attention goes to one thing, our energy, our collective energy, becomes together to solve that one problem.
So how has this been the ebb and the flow over 22 years? Because I know that that's had to have hit some peaks and some valleys, even with that communication strategy.
Sure. And all of it didn't work about that strategy. That strategy was the conduit to us learning more things.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the conduit.
Yeah.
Because
It's
a
the
lot of
starting
times you
point.
can't even talk to each other.
Yeah.
But we had to have an entry point. All right.
Yeah.
And that entry point was the thing that made us start doing the work. Start looking at her childhood. Start working with people, and work with coaches or therapists, and understanding why I communicate the way that I do. And all of a sudden, once we began working on our relationships, and we evolved into a great relationship who communicated. Because I always tell people, listen, one thing you got to understand: disagreements are inevitable.
Yeah.
But arguments are optional. The arguing is optional.
Arguing is optional.
Because people don't know necessarily how to disagree. And so over the evolution of our relationship, we start coaching other folk. So my wife is a coach. She didn't want to be. She ain't no coach like, she don't get paid for it. But now she's starting to. I'm teaching her because she has this country wisdom. I call it that country wisdom.
Yeah.
And what happens is when people when we started coaching couples, she started coaching women, right? And I started coaching men because I'm not a punk. I'm a masculine man.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk direct and all that stuff, and I didn't realize that the way that I was showing up in my marriage was not good for who I was married to, because I wasn't emotionally intelligent, and I did not understand how it worked. And a lot of men and women, I'm gonna say and women, are not emotionally intelligent. And they're showing up. You ever heard somebody say something like this? Well, this is just who I am. I communicate this way.
Oh, goodness.
This is just who I am, right?
In all the relationships, be it friendships, men,
Right.
all the things, yeah.
And the problem with that is, long story short, I want to tell you this, is you don't communicate with people based on who you are to be effective. You communicate with people based on who they are to be effective.
Ooh, who they are.
Yes.
So Ken, communication, you said communication is the reason why many of us have flawed relationships.
Yes.
We have uncommunicated expectations.
Sure.
Yeah.
And let me delve into that. If you look at a lot of studies, I remember I was on the show Unfaithful, and I was just doing some statistics, and a lot of people talk about why relationships fail. You had infidelity, you had finances, you had a couple other things.
You can't glaze over that Unfaithful show, child, because there's some stuff. That's some sticky stuff over
Yeah,
there. There's some sticky stuff on that show.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just, we can talk about that show. All right. But what I found out was the main reason, when I looked at all of my clients and when I looked at the studies, think about it like this. The number one reason is not infidelity. It's not
It's
finances.
not cheating.
It is uncommunicated expectations. So let me explain why. Let me go deeper. So what happens is when you and I get in a relationship, Brandi, we sign an unwritten contract,
Yeah.
right? That says, I'm entering this relationship because I'm going to meet your needs, your emotional needs.
Yeah.
And you say, Ken, I'm gonna meet your emotional needs. So we begin this journey together. All of a sudden, we start walking through the relationship, and I'm realizing I have a need of sex. A sexual, because there are 10 basic emotional needs that we have. I want sex because men, a lot of times, I'm just talking about men, a lot of times have sex is the way they connect.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
And the woman says, all right, I you know what? I got these kids. I ain't trying to. And so the man feels disconnected, but she thinks that you just want my body.
Yeah.
But what he's really saying, but he doesn't know how to communicate it, is sex makes me feel emotionally connected to you. Okay? And so he feels like that need is going unmet.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the woman says, I need you to talk to me.
Yeah.
I need to be communicated to.
Yeah.
I need you to get me in the mood. I need you to rub my hair. I need you to do all these things. And then my need of communication goes unmet. And because the man says, you ain't meet my sexual needs. And all of a sudden, because neither one of us, we don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
We've never been taught. Why is it that the problem is that relationships wouldn't be so hard if we didn't expect them to be so easy? I just want you to think about that for a moment.
Relationships wouldn't be so hard if we didn't expect them to be so easy.
Right.
Ooh, that's a bar, Ken. What?
Yeah. And the thing is, Brandi, they teach us how to drive. They teach us how to buy a house.
Yeah.
They teach us how to do your job. You're excellent at this work. You've been trained. You've been coached. You've been mentored. Okay? But they don't tell us how to communicate. We just get married because we love the person because we feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And that's the illusion. And so then we get married and we think the communication gonna come, the conflict resolution gonna come, the love language gonna come.
Yeah.
We're gonna think about the attachment style. All of that shit just comes, right? It just comes because I love you.
Yeah.
But I've never been trained. I've never been coached. I've never been taught how to communicate when we have a conflict. We don't know how to do it. And so we're not equipped. So we get into the relationship and we think it's something wrong with the other person, right? You don't love me enough.
Yeah.
Or this ain't working,
Yeah.
okay? If I I have a grandson, he's 9 years old, right? And me and my daughter, who's much like me, real philosophical, she think a lot. She's smart, okay?
Yeah.
She's great. She has a business, not a daycare. She has an educational facility. Every student that has ever come out of her facility was an honor student. Now they're getting scholarships. And so she wanted to debate me. And she's like, well, my husband, he just should know what I want because he's been with me. I said, well, let me ask you a question. So, okay, if your husband, he should just know. I said, if we take our grandson who's 9 years old, and I said, Noah, I want you to go up to the store, go get Pop Daddy some almond milk, right?
Yeah.
And I said, so she's sitting right there in front of me. He's right there. I said, go up to the store. They got my keys right there. Go up to the store, take the car, go up to the store. And she's looking at me strange, right? But I'm proving a point.
Yeah.
And so Noah's like, Pop Daddy, I don't know how to drive. I said, exactly. Why would I expect you to drive when you've never been trained how to drive?
Yeah.
I looked at my daughter. It's the same thing in relationships. Why would you expect him to communicate a certain way if he's never been taught?
He's never been taught.
He's never been trained. He's never been taught. Why is that we expect that?
So then, Coach, if I'm in a relationship and my emotional needs, I'm a woman and my emotional needs aren't getting met, but my man, he wants sex.
Okay.
And I'm not giving that because you're not rubbing my hair. You're not
Sure.
telling me all the niceties and all the wonderful things.
Okay.
How can I communicate? What's a way that I can communicate? And then for him, how can he communicate his needs of sex?
First thing, you have to be willing to say it. See, so So a lot of people out there thinking, I'm gonna speak right to the camera. A lot of people out there, you think you're a great communicator. So I have a litmus test. And here's a litmus test. I asked 2 questions. That lets me know. All right. I said, have you ever wanted to say something to someone, but you did not say it because you were afraid of how they were going to feel, okay? Or you didn't know how to say it. And most people say, yeah. And I say, well, you're a poor communicator.
Yeah.
I said, so 98.3% of the people communicate, myself included. And so what happens is number one, you have to be willing to say it. Because a lot of people withhold it because how are they going to feel? Because we think we're responsible for the other person's feelings, and we're not. One of the things you got to understand is I am not responsible for how you're going to feel.
Yeah.
Because the truth of the matter is I could say it as delicate as possible and you may not like it and you might feel offended. I am responsible for communicating effectively.
So you can't be afraid to say it.
You can't. That's number one. The second thing is now you want to go into how do I say it? You have to be willing to say it not aggressive, because nobody wants. Okay, not aggressive.
You can't.
Not combative.
Can't do that.
And the third, there are 3 things. 1 through 3. Why I created the pocket communication coach.
Yeah.
Is it can't be aggressive, it can't be combative, but it has to be articulate enough to get your point across.
Okay.
So let me do an example.
Yeah, please.
You say, so you want to tell your guy that what? What do you want to tell him?
You know, I don't feel seen. You know, I come in, I've been working all day and, you know, you want to have sex and be intimate, but I'm tired. I want you to care about my well-being and how my day's been.
All right. So the first thing you do is, y'all keep hitting this mic. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
First thing you do, because the mic I got to tell you, even the mic going on. All right. So first thing you have to do is you start with telling him what he is, not what he's not. Notice what I did?
Yeah.
I love it though. I love the way you take care of me. I love the way you love me.
Yeah.
Notice what I just did. I told him what he was first, right?
Yeah.
Why did I do that? Because what I did is when you tell a person what they're not doing, what they aren't, that always puts up a wall to figure out, I got to defend myself.
Yeah.
I got to defend myself. So the first thing is I tell you what you are, right? This is an approach that I have, okay? This is called the sandwich approach.
I was about to say, this sounds like the communication sandwich.
Yes, it is.
Yes, yeah.
I love it the way you do that. And then you don't say but next. God, you say but. Somebody ever said but this. They said, well, everything you said before the but was a lie.
Yeah.
Then you say, and I would love it if this happened. I've been thinking about it. I would love it if we talked more when you got home. I would love it if we communicate more. I would love it if we did this.
Yeah.
I do that. I would love that. And then you might even say, I've been feeling lately. I have been feeling, not that you've been doing using I language.
Yeah.
I've been feeling this lately.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring it to your attention.
Yeah.
So that we could have a deeper conversation. Now, what does that sound like? That sounds like, well, okay, all right.
I'm open.
Well, why you been feeling that way?
Yeah.
But the way I started it.
Yeah.
The way I started. That's just one of the techniques that I teach people in communication.
Yeah.
Now, would that get you a different result?
Absolutely.
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 But instead of you popping off like, you got me fucked up. You know, I'm just saying. And then men, and they want to be direct. So what you want? You don't want to give me no sex?
Yeah.
You know, you out there, somebody else smashing you?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And that energy leads to more of that energy. Mm-hmm. All right? And most of us have never been trained on how to do that. And so I always say the first thing is we have to have a desire to do it, but then you have to understand how to do it, and that's what happens next.
Yeah, the how.
Yes.
I think that's where most people are, that's the missing part because, as you said, we didn't grow up learning these techniques. And many of us who've gone to therapy and we, have had the tools being put in our toolbox, we know how to, but we're meeting people who don't as well.
True.
And so,
well, but I can't let people off the hook with that, Brandi. I can't just tell.
Don't let us off the hook.
Because okay, so if you know how to drive, and I don't know how to drive, right?
Yeah.
Then it is incumbent upon you to teach me how to drive if I want to be in a relationship. If I'm riding with you in that car, right? So I put out a video one time, and people, and you know, I do things because I do things for effect.
It's a little shock value. You got a little shock value.
Yeah. So when I tell people, and you can attest to this, when I tell people you have to teach and train and coach somebody on how to love you. And people would say stuff like, I ain't training, I ain't teaching no man to open my door. I ain't teaching no man, he got to know that. He should already know that.
Lord.
And then I say this. I say, was Ken Canion born with the manual to know how to love Karen Canion? Her name was Karen Johnson, my wife. I didn't come with that manual.
Yeah.
I wasn't born with the manual. The shit wasn't downloaded in me,
Yeah.
right? So I have to write the manual as you teach it to me.
Yeah.
Because you can't, and that's where a lot of people over 40 expect. Me and you get in a relationship, Brandi, we start liking each other. We start feeling each other. I'm sending you the text. I'm love bombing the hell out you. And I'm sending it to you. Oh, beautiful. Oh, I saw your show today. Oh, and you did good today.
Grand Rising Queen.
Right, Grand Rising. Right. All of that, right? And then, but all of a sudden we run into a snag. So Brandi thinks I should call her soon as she gets off the show, in between. But I don't, okay? And Brandi get hot because I'm not calling. But Brandi has never communicated to me. She's never told me that she loves that, she wants that she even expects that.
Yeah.
But she just expects me to know. And so what happens is now Brandi gets upset. All right. So Brandi I ain't gonna do this for him. Now it becomes punitive.
It's a tit for tat. You already know how that go now.
Yeah, it becomes punitive.
Yeah.
And so Brandi never told me, but now Brandi's starting to punish me. So it's almost like a child who gets punished for something, but the child don't even know why they got punished. What did I do?
So Coach, this leads me into the conversation of ghosting because you recently had a video that you talked about ghosting.
Okay.
And so most women, it'll start off that he's texting you, he's calling you, he's love bombing you, as you say, he's doing all the things, and then all of a sudden, ghost.
Right.
He
I
says
got
no.
a term for that.
What is that?
I used to call it minimum waging you. Like it used to be people say love bombing. I call it minimum waging you.
Minimum waging you.
Yeah. We're giving you just enough. You know how you work for minimum wage?
Yeah.
You get just enough to work. Just the bare minimum. You're getting the bare minimum. He's minimum waging you. And when you accept the wage, you begin working for that wage. So you don't have to accept minimum wage. You choose to accept it because you believe I'm going to get a raise. You believe I'm going to get more in the relationship. He's going to commit to me. He's going to do all of these things, so I will accept this rate. Brandi, you know that people can offer you a rate for doing what you do, and you'd be like, hell no, I'm not accepting that rate.
Listen, my email is flooded. I keep turning them down.
Right, because you understand the value that you bring.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
All right, and so you were talking about, and I want to get to the point what you were talking about when all of that happens.
Yeah.
And then you want to know what? What is the question you want to know?
The question is really like, why? You starts off really strong, and most women out there in our audience, they're dating, and they're older who are dating. They're more seasoned women.
Okay.
And so they start off, it feels good. They're texting, they're calling, they're FaceTiming, and then boom, nothing.
Okay. You want to know why that happens?
Yes.
Okay. How much time we got? No, I'm just saying. Number one, when a man is doing that, we're talking about men and women, right?
Yes.
When a man is doing that, he has an objective. Okay? And so sometimes the objective is manipulative. Not all the time.
Yeah.
Okay? But sometimes. Sometimes let me start with the manipulation part of it first. So I love bomb you, right? Okay? Meaning I'm telling you, hey, beautiful, you're having a great day. I'm doing all of the things, and you're hearing all of the things you're wanting to hear because it's meeting an emotional need in you, right? And so I do it every day. So what happens is because of the way our brain works and emotions work, as soon as I start feeling a certain way, emotions are nothing more than a release of hormones. Okay? And so all of a sudden, these hormones begin to be released. The oxytocin, the bonding chemical, the dopamine, the feel-good chemical. And the serotonin is the calming chemical. So every time I just want to just lay in your arms, right?
Yeah.
So this mix, this love cocktail that happens, right? And you start, as we call it nowadays, catching feelings.
Catching feelings.
You start catching feelings, okay? And all of a sudden, the more these hormones are doused into your system, the more it creates an illusion. The illusion, you think you're in love.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's an illusion. All right, what you are is you're attached to the feeling. You're not really in love. And so what happens is though many times, so the manipulative person knows this. And so now they might take you out. Okay, they might want to come over. And the more you're around the person, the more they say all of the things. And all of a sudden, you introduce the physical part. And so when you introduce the physical part, and then he began, y'all began smashing, he began slapping that ass, I'm sorry, what it is. And all of a sudden, you go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Baby, sometimes it be like that, Coach. You know now. Sometimes we ain't gonna lie to the people now. Sometimes you get what they call dickmatized.
That's what my wife says. She got dickmatized.
Sometimes you get hypnotized by the dick.
And so that's what happens. And then all of a sudden, so a man puts you in three categories, one of three categories. He puts you either in the freak category, we're gonna smash, and I'm gonna dickmatize you, and I'm gonna get assmatized, we're gonna do what we're gonna do. And then, or he puts you in the friend category, well, we can hang out with my homegirl, but we ain't, I might have wanted to hit it, but I don't want to hit it no more. That's my partner. Or he puts you in the forever category. Now, here's where people get it twisted about the forever category. It doesn't mean you're going to be his wife. He just knows you're going to be somebody's wife. What he says is that you have the characteristics of someone's wife.
Lord.
Now, I have to determine if you're going to be my wife. I'm collecting data. And so this is why I'm so effective with all my students, right? They get in relationships, they get married, because I teach a philosophy that is so different than everybody else. I'm polarizing, but I'm damn good at it. The reason why is because I have this thing called the 2C methodology. Collect, then connect. Collect, then connect. See, the first part is connect. Find out if the person's values are truly in alignment with you. But what we try to do is we let chemistry fool us, and we run to connection.
Yeah.
We run to the connection. Oh, he making me feel good. We hanging out.
Oh, he's so fun. Look at him at the gym.
Yeah. He making 6 figures. He doing all of this. And then you find out 6 months later that when the honeymoon stage is over, is that I didn't even know the person.
He's an idiot.
I didn't know him. But you bypass the collect part. And the reason, what I teach people to do, and I'm going to get this to you, Brandi. I'm going to get this to you. I created this thing. All right, so I've written 8 books. I've sold over 500,000 books. And the one thing that I understand is human behavior, okay? See, there are 2 parts of you, 2 parts of everybody. There's our conscious mind.
Yeah.
Our conscious mind are the conscious thoughts that we think about. I'm in Brandi's studio right now. Okay, I'm being interviewed. These are thoughts that I'm consciously aware of.
Yeah.
Well, there's a part of you that only controls 10% of your reality. What controls the other 90% is your subconscious mind. Think of your subconscious mind like a computer.
Yeah.
That houses all of your emotions, your trauma, that houses all of your beliefs, your thoughts, all of the things you grew up on being told. All right, all of that, right? So it houses the true Brandi Harvey. The one that is beyond what this camera sees. Right?
The nuck if you buck Brandi
Right,
Harvey.
the nuck if you buck Brandi. That one right there.
Got it. That's the No Limit Soldier one.
Right. And so what happens is I can never reach that part of you by asking what I call conscious questions. For instance, how many kids do you have? For instance, you got a sister? For instance, who's your favorite team? And what we try to do is we try to get to know the person on a deeper level by asking conscious questions. Well, what I teach people is you'll never get to know who the person is. What you have to do is go beyond the conscious mind into the subconscious mind. And so the subconscious mind is, I said, you have to ask subconscious questions. And I have a methodology that where I teach them how to do that. For instance, a subconscious question. Me and you talking, we getting to know, we hanging out, we walking in the park, right? Because I know you like to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I say, Brandi, I said, tell me one thing that you learned from your father that you have taken with you today that helped you become the woman you are today. Well, that's a subconscious question.
Yeah.
All right? And then you got to think about that. The one thing. I didn't say 2, 3.
Yeah.
I said one thing.
Yeah.
And so when you tell me that, I'm going to say, then I'm going to go deeper. I'm going to say, why was that important to you? How did that shape you? Okay? All right. Then I'm going to say to you, I say, Brandi, if you lost everything today, another subconscious question, what would you do to rebuild it? How would you get it back? So what I'm doing, I'm going into your subconscious mind. That's where the true person is.
Yeah.
And most of us don't do that. Most of us are unable to do that because we don't know.
Because they ask them, what's your favorite color?
What's your, right,
Child, well, you know my favorite color is blue.
right.
Lord.
And so I don't know. And when I asked you, I said, what one fear do you have that when you think about it, it totally debilitates you?
I hope y'all are taking notes because these are the questions.
Right.
These are the questions.
Right.
And honestly, you know, Coach, this is why, especially when it's warm outside, one of the first dates that I go on is we are going for a walk in the park.
I love
Because
it.
in 2.7 miles, 2.7 miles around that park, baby, I'm going to find out if I want to go on another 2.7 miles with you.
I know that's right.
I'm going to find out because now I get to ask those questions. Yeah. We in nature, the sun is shining, it's beautiful out here. I get to go deeper. And I think sometimes we fail to do that because we want to go to the surface dates. We want to go just go get lamb chops, child, and Casamigos and a hookah.
Right.
You know?
Right. We just want to feel good.
Yeah.
See, dating, this is the part I want y'all to get. Dating is not about feeling good. Dating is not about going to eat. Dating is not about sex, none of that. Those things are the byproduct of dating. Dating is about collecting data to see if you and I are in alignment.
Absolutely.
Because if we're not in alignment, this shit ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
It may last a minute. I always tell people chemistry may get you together, but compatibility gonna keep you together. And compatibility is about alignment.
Yeah.
When a person is sick, if you get cancer, alignment keeps us together.
I'm so glad you said that because, Coach, one of the things people ask my sister, I have a twin sister, and she's been married for 8 years, and I think that my brother-in-law is an amazing husband and father. But one of the things when they were dating, you know, they were out of town and she got sick. And people always ask her, well, when did you know when Ben was your husband? She said, when I got sick in L.A. And she said, he would not let me get on that plane to go to Atlanta by myself. He said, oh, absolutely not.
Right.
I am going to make sure you are flying home with me to Dallas. We're going to make sure you are well, and then I will send you home to Atlanta. And people are like, oh, wow. She said that was the moment she knew was because she was sick. She had to go to the hospital while she was in LA. All of this in the first couple months of them dating. Right. And she was like, that was when she knew that this is the man because he will take care of me.
Right.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, emotions are much like roller coasters. Emotions are going to change. Feelings are going to change. And that's why unconditional love is not predicated on me feeling a certain way.
Yeah.
It is not.
Yeah.
Unconditional love is predicated on me acting a certain way. You get it? Because my emotions are going to change. Sometimes, like I always tell people, sometimes my wife get on on my nerves. I love her with all my heart, right? But I'm committed to her every day. Now, sometimes I might not like the stuff that she do, all right? But I'm committed to her. No matter what happens, no matter how I feel at any given moment, my commitment to her stays the same. And that's what it is.
So in 22 years of marriage, commitment, that is not a feeling, that's an agreement. You all have made an agreement. That's an agreement that you all have made with each other. And so how does your faith, what has been that anchor that has kept you all married for 22 years? Because the days that you don't like somebody, most people will walk out the door and never come back. Right. But 22 years says we're in an agreement with each other.
I think what it boils down to is simply this, is when I decided, because a lot of people, I always tell people, and the great question, love is never enough. Never. 99% of the people that went to the altar and said, to death do us part, I will love, they love the person, right?
Yeah.
There's so much more to it than love.
Yeah.
There's so much more to it. And the part about commitment, the part about work, the part about we're going to evolve, the part that I am not going to be the same person I was 7 years. They say it's every 7 years we evolve.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be that person 7 years from now. But I want to evolve with you. I want to communicate through your emotions because you change.
Yeah.
You know, you menopause, you know, all of the things that we do, we change. And if we're not willing to keep growing, keep healing, keep doing all of those things, that says that this is the thing I want to do. I'm going to work at my relationship. I'm going to work to be a better version of myself. Yeah. And my wife and I have decided to be a better version of ourselves. And let me tell you else what we do. And in the book we wrote, during COVID, my wife and I wrote a book called The Canion Culture, right? So in the book, we talk about companies. I wrote the book along with her about why do people have great companies? People want to stay at companies like Google. Why people want to stay?
Yeah.
Because they got a daycare there? Because you can take a nap on site? I mean, these things make people want to stay because they pay a lot. No, because they've established a culture.
It's the company culture.
And so people don't want to leave.
Yeah.
So what we've done is established a culture in our relationship where neither one of us want to leave. All right. And how do we do that? One of the ways we do that is this. So we have what we call a relationship diagnostic. All right. So we teach couples how to do this.
Yeah.
So once or twice a year, just like, you know, like you get your evaluation.
Yeah.
We go on a trip. So our last one was in Jamaica in July. And so on the trip, we do this thing called the diagnostic. So where she says, so I tell her, she says, you know, what can I work on in the relationship? What can I do better? What am I doing good? What can I do better? And so this, the one before the last one we did in Las Vegas. And she said some things to me that kind of, that stuck it, you know, got at me. I'm like, are you serious? I mean, you know, my facial expression was like, no, you're serious.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I think you know, yeah, I think this, and I think you're not hearing me when I'm saying this and that. And I didn't like it. I ain't like it. But you know what I said?
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to get better. I'm going to be better. I'm going to be better. And you know, I tried to defend myself at first, and I was like, nope. Remember, we said we can't defend ourselves.
Yeah.
We just got to take it in. But she did give me the permission to explain.
Yeah.
Okay. And I explained, and she said, I can understand how you feel that way. So fast forward, that was 2 years ago. Fast forward, I worked like hell. So by the time we got to Jamaica this time, I'm thinking we good, you know. So she says to me, well, when it's her time, I'm like, oh, shit.
Here come your evaluation.
Right. But she says to me, I think you're a great husband. I think you do a great job, great grandfather, great father. She says, but I think sometimes you spend too much time with your clients. And, you know, my first thought, you know, the brother in me was like, wait a minute, I done provided this lifestyle for you where you can do everything you want to do. This was on the inside.
Okay. On the inside, it was a lot of this.
But a whole bunch of that. But then I said, what can I do to be better? And she said, 1 or 2 nights a week, why don't you just cut it off at 7:30?
Okay.
And I started doing that.
Okay.
And she said to me 3 months later, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate, because you're willing to put me in front of
your clients, your work,
your whatever.
Your work, yeah.
And so I don't know how I'm gonna do on this go round, but we do great though. So that's how you do it for 22 years, that you understand that love is not enough.
That love is not enough.
Right.
And you're not gonna do enough to make a man stay. He has got to want to do that on his own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a video, and you told me about it. I did in the video, I said this: a woman can never love a man enough to make him change.
Yeah.
Because I used to be a man of integrity years ago. No integrity.
Yeah.
Before I got married. I tell everybody, I was slipping and dipping, Sucking and whatever else the words. You want to, but you know,
You
look.
was doing it all.
I was,
You was a wild boy, Ken. I see you.
I did that. That's
you was
so
in the streets.
I was in the streets before there was streets. You know, before we had the streets, I was in the street, right? Because you know, a lot of young people, young dudes, I coach like he don't know nothing about the streets. And I look at him, I said, listen, here's the thing. No, the only thing that has changed, human behavior has not changed.
Yeah.
Cheating been out there. All of that.
You said they was cheating in Jesus' time.
In Jesus' time, they was cheating, y'all. Nothing out there has changed. The only thing is the methodology.
Yeah.
That's it. We got phones.
Yeah.
I can get a picture of you to send to your husband.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's changed.
Yeah.
Human behavior hasn't changed. And so in looking at it from that perspective, I often say this. Listen, my wife could never love me enough to change. Watch this, though. She can never love me enough. She can never do enough. Because what women think many times is if I take care of his kids, if I give him enough sex, if I give him enough head, he gonna know that I'm the one.
I'm telling you, my dad has told me that since the beginning.
Yes,
he said that from the beginning.
You never
gonna do enough
because you can never do enough. But here's the thing: a woman can never love you enough to change, but a man can love you enough to want to change.
To want to, yeah.
Yes, to change.
Yeah.
I loved my wife enough to change.
Yeah.
See, that's the difference. Because we think, and here's the nugget for all y'all listening. You think if I do enough, he will love me. You know, you can't do enough for a man to want to commit to you. He doesn't commit to you. A man doesn't commit to you based on what you do for him. Mm-hmm. Okay? A man commits to you based on who you are to him.
Who you are to him.
Who you are to him.
In what way, Ken?
Okay, so it's how, what I was talking about the brand. It's how he sees you, how he views you.
Yeah.
I viewed my wife as a nurturer. I view her as someone that empowered me. I viewed her as someone that was my partner, who was with me when my business went bankrupt, who was with me, all of those things.
I love that story that you told. I listened to that. It was only 2 people left standing with you.
Only 2 people, and one of them is over there.
Oh, this is him.
That's him.
Okay.
The one of them is over there.
Wow.
And the other one was
your wife.
my wife.
Yeah.
When I went bankrupt, when everybody was loving me.
And you took that one computer.
I stole that computer.
You stole that computer. Ken, I heard the story now.
I stole that computer. I mean, so look, I got a desk too. Because I knew I was going to rebuild. And when they came and took everything, I always tell people one of the best things that ever happened to me. Number one, I found out who I was. I found out who I was in adversity. The man that I was going to be, the man I was when I picked myself up after laying in the house and the blinds drawn and blaming God and everybody else, right? I found out who I was. And I was a man, I had the talent to build it, but I didn't have the integrity to keep it. Because I had a new Volvo. I had custom clothes. I'm looking at your dad and all them custom clothes. I got to get me some custom suits too. Had custom clothes and all of this, and I'm acting a damn fool. I'm out here hitting everything I can hit. Now my wife was my friend, right? She was always like there. Always like, she was my friend. She would always be, if I needed something, she would bring it. Now, it wasn't a using relationship because I would give her stuff too. Yeah. Now, but she was always there, but I was always looking for something else. I was always like looking for something else, thinking something else gonna be better. And then when I looked up, it's almost like God took the veil off my eyes. It was like it was like when I lost everything, right? All of a sudden, when shit goes awry, you can see who's there for you.
Yeah.
All right. And, one of my best friends who's carrying the camera watching us now, he's with me today because when I looked up, everybody else was gone. I was stuck holding a $250,000 loan. Yeah. They took it all. And I thought to myself, I'm like, God, why? But now when I teach people, when he leaves you with the kids, when things happen bad in your life, all I do is what I teach people is to reframe what happens. See, think about it like this. A lot of bad things, adversity is going to happen to all of us. Yeah. It is the meaning we attach to it, though. I read Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. He was a Holocaust survivor. And he asked a question that has changed my life. What if this that I've gone through could be for a greater purpose?
Yeah.
Could be for something greater.
Yeah.
He started asking that. And and through him asking that question, he wrote the book and he's helped thousands, millions of people. So I asked the question. I always start with this question, Brandi. Is it possible?
Yeah.
Is it possible that what I went through was supposed to be to help somebody else? Is it possible that there's a greater meaning? And once I asked that, that led me to my first book. God, I ain't trying to hear all that. Because God was trying to show me something all along, but I'm trying to get this paper, God. I ain't trying to hear all that right now. But that out of that book is why I'm Coach Ken today.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the catalyst.
Yeah, that was a catalyst to me empowering other folk. That was a catalyst.
So when you look at your career now, which is you've gone from losing weight and being on television, even showing that vulnerability, to now being a resident coach on a show called Unfaithful, where y'all rolling up on people in a whole Sprinter van, baby,
In the Sprinter.
and hopping out.
We hopping
and
out.
hopping out
We
on
coming
folks.
out hard.
Yeah, woo, baby, let me tell you, I have never seen. This is beyond cheaters. You know, the cheaters back in the day.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is-
yeah, yeah. We coming hard, though.
This is beyond that, okay? So what is it that you see now because of how technology has changed, because of the ways we can communicate now in cheating and infidelity? What are you seeing now as like the biggest breaking of the relationships on shows like Unfaithful?
I think the biggest problem is we use fiction. And when I say fiction, TV is an illusion. Some of the stuff is real. Some of it is real,
Yeah.
you know, and some of it, you know, it's got an element to it. But we use TV to define our lives.
Oof, yes we do.
And so if a lot of people are looking at Housewives,
Well, come on, talk about it.
a lot of people are looking at Married to Medicine,
Yeah.
that shit is an illusion. And some of it may be real because TV wants to create controversy. I get that. They want people jumping out the van looking for people and looking at their calamity so we can experience life through looking at you. That ain't me. Y'all
That's not
crazy
me.
as hell.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I look at that and what I do is detach. I detach from my life
Yeah.
so I can look at your life.
Yeah.
That's why people get on the internet and talk shit about other folk, right?
Yeah.
Because what it does is it creates an environment where I don't have to look at me.
Yeah.
I don't have to do what we call in therapy the mirror work.
Yeah.
I don't have to do the mirror work.
That mirror work, because that's the hard work.
That mirror work is the hard work when I
Yeah.
have to look beyond my eyes and into my soul
Yeah.
and into who I am as a person. But so I can look how crazy y'all are. I'm like, whoa, they crazy as hell
Yeah.
on TV. And then when I look at how crazy y'all are, mine ain't so bad.
Yeah.
It distracts me from the life that I am living right now.
Yeah.
It distracts me from that life. And because it distracts me from that life, I don't have to live it. And so, well, just think about it. People look, everybody, when you look at people on the gram. You got all these Instagram models. And these cats I'm coaching, right? Say, look, man, I see this girl on the gram, man. And I said, what do you know about her? I just see on the gram, I see these pictures, she flying here, she flying there. How the hell you know she flying there? And then I'm like, have you been with her when her breath stank? You know, have you been with her when she looking busted without the makeup on?
Yeah.
Have you and I said, and I said, that's not reality. Do you love her when she's not the Instagram model? Would you love him when he ain't got his shirt off, when he ain't got the six pack? When his belly get big?
Yeah.
Will you love him when his dick used to work and now, look at Brittany, she took a breath. When now his blood flow because he ain't taking care of himself because he out here making money. Will you love him then? Will you love him then? We look at the highlights of people's life. The highlights of, it's an illusion.
Yeah.
And what I teach people is this illusion will only last so long. I'm not disillusioned by relationships. I'm not disillusioned by who my wife is. I accept every part of her. You know, the other day she was sick, right? And I'm like, you had a sinus infection. I'm like, what's that face? She was throwing up. I'm like, dang, you look crazy. I like, come and let me help you. I'm like, look, let me bring you this. Let me go to the store and get this.
I ain't you.
I told her afterwards. I was like, she's looking crazy when you throwing up. But I said, baby, I love you through it all.
Yeah.
I said, I don't care what it is. I love you through it all. And I accept you for who you are. And that kind of love and that kind of commitment goes beyond the gram.
Yeah.
Goes beyond YouTube. Goes beyond this social media world we live in. Social media is good because you get a message out like this.
Yeah.
I get that. But the message is this, that Brandi, who you are will always be more important than what you do or what you have.
Yeah.
Who you are will outlive what you have and what you do. The cars you drive will change. The clothes you wear will change. But who you are, you're stuck with that person.
Yeah.
And that's the person that I want to get to know.
Yeah.
That's the person that's changing lives.
So before we close out, because I have to touch on this, Coach Ken, before we leave. In one of your recent talks, you talked about the top 4 things that will make a man want to change for you.
Yeah.
And one of those being you speak his language,
Right.
you speak life into him.
Right.
The fear of losing you is too much for him to bear.
Right.
Right. And then I'm
And
missing.
then the first one was, the first one, when I said the first one was, it was the value that a man believes. He believes that he is more with you. He becomes more. He values you. He believes that he is more with you than without you. More with you in his life than with you out of his life.
Yeah.
He believes that.
Yeah.
Think about it like this. A man doesn't commit to somebody, they believe that my life is going to be better,
Yeah.
more fulfilled,
Yeah.
more fun, more whatever with you in it than you out of it. He makes that calculation. So those 4 things, he believes that his life is going to be better with you in it rather than you out of it. The other one was, if a man doesn't fear losing you, he ain't gonna never truly value you. And I'm gonna tell you this one right here quickly before we roll. The thing is a lot of people enable bad behavior.
Yeah.
You know, he cheats on you, take him back. He talked to you a certain way, he put his hands on you, take him back. What you're essentially doing is enabling the behavior and you're creating more of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. That's it.
I mean, you learned this firsthand because your wife had to roll up on you when y'all were dating. Your wife rolled up on you at the job one
She
day.
did.
She pulled up on you and she said, look, I'm a wife. I have supported you.
Yes.
I done spoke your language.
Yes.
I've been speaking life into you and your business.
Yes.
I've helped you get things off the ground. And if you don't see that in me, I'm going to position myself to be with somebody else.
That's exactly what she said.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up because that was the first time. The first time, because we had broken up before, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and then my pride, like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm a pimp. I'm going to get me somebody. But she left first day, second day, third day, fourth day. I'm like, she tripping. Whatever. I thought she going to call back like normal or we would talk.
And you said you thought y'all were going to fall back into your routine.
Fall back into
y'all
our
were going to have
routine.
some makeup sex.
Yep.
Y'all was going to get back and y'all was going to get back into the flow.
But by day 5, I realized things were different this time. She didn't call me back for 7 days. And on the 7th
Somebody cue Tony Braxton.
So seven whole days. Yeah, you
Not
know.
a word from you.
Not a word. But here's what happened in the 7 days. The 7 days, and a lot of women don't do this. The 7 days she disconnected from me, right? Was the first time that I realized I wasn't able to be connected to her. I wasn't able to be distracted by her. All right. I wasn't able to be distorted by the relationship. And so I got to see my life without her in it. It was just raw. This just me. And you know what I realized during that time? I didn't want my life to be without her in it.
Yeah.
And that was when I called her back on day 7. And I was like, look, can we talk? But when I came back, it was different.
Yeah.
And she said these words, and I want to leave people with these words. She said, I said, well, what made you do it? I asked her, she said, I finally loved me more than I loved you.
I love me more than I loved you.
I was like,
whew. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
And then, but a lot of people don't get that.
Yeah.
But that made me love her even more.
Whew. I love me more than I loved you. The commitment, the agreement that you made with your wife, the loving beyond the gram, the loving when what nobody else sees, right?
Right.
Is that the reason why you do not wear a wedding band? Because you recently did
Yes, I talked about that.
You talked about not wearing a wedding band because people will watch this and be like, he's married, where his ring at?
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got time to end on this.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, what, like I always tell people, first off, let me start by this saying this right here. My wife and I agreed on it at the beginning. I don't like wearing rings.
Okay.
I don't wear rings. I like watches. I like watches, and I like bracelets and shoes.
Yeah.
All right, I don't like rings. And so my wife and I agreed on it. That's the first thing. Stop basing your relationship on the standards with others that the others create. If you and your wife decide on it, cool. So my wife didn't wear a wedding band, but I bought her. Matter of fact, we bought wedding bands at the beginning.
Yeah.
She wore hers. I wore mine a couple of days and I ain't wear it anymore. But then the second thing is this right here. What is the ring? It is symbolism.
Yeah.
The symbolism, right? It is symbolic of the commitment I made to you. I tell everybody that I'm married, right?
Yeah.
My commitment, the symbolism, is that I tell everybody that I'm married to her every single day, right? That I love her every single day, not because I wear a wedding ring. Because I know men
Child, baby, wait a minute.
that have on wedding rings.
Honey, and doing the devil's work,
They
conduit.
out here smashing, and a lot of women don't care. It's more attractive to them, right?
Yeah.
And I say, are y'all kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Listen.
I mean, so I just say this. It's something that we agreed on, and it works for our relationship.
Yeah.
It works for our relationship. I don't cheat, never cheated. Ain't nobody out here saying that I done smashed them. Nobody's saying that they was in my wife. Nobody's saying that they was in my wife's, that I was in their DM. They ain't gonna say that. Now, I'm a good looking dude. I know that even at my age. I know I'm smooth.
You holding, Coach Ken. You holding.
And when women inbox me, because they do, I show it to my wife. Look at this, baby. I still got it.
Y'all over there on the couch like, look at them. They DM'd us.
And then my wife was like, let me see her profile. I'm going to cut her week short. She be like, I ain't going to say what she said. I cut your week short. But, but that's how we operate, how we flow in our relationship. And I ain't going to never wear no wedding band.
And that's you all's agreement.
But the symbolism is in my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like rings. And I ain't going to wear no wedding band. But I'm going to be married. And I ain't gonna cheat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's my thing. But do what works for your relationship. And therefore, Brandi, let me tell you this right here. There are 4 words that I don't use in my coaching. Something is good or bad, or something is right or wrong.
Those are 4 words you don't use.
I do not use.
You do not use in your
coaching.
coaching.
Good or bad, right or wrong. You know why?
Why?
Because I only use 2 words. Is it working or not working? You know why? Because what's good for your relationship might not be good for mine.
Yeah.
What's right for your relationship might not be right for mine.
Yeah.
Right? And so, as a coach, my job is not to tell you how to live. My job is to find out what works for the relationship.
Yeah.
And coach you to that end.
Yeah. So as we close out, Coach Ken, one word you're committed to in this season of your life.
Transformation.
Transformation.
Transforming every day.
Yeah.
Getting better, becoming a better version of me.
Yeah.
And helping other people become a better version of them. That's why I reached out to you.
Yeah.
I reached out to you.
Yeah.
You didn't call me. And the reason I reached out to you because of what you're doing. Because you're doing the same thing by the people you bring on this platform, and these people's lives are being transformed by the words of these folk. And so I just figured I needed to be one of them.
And you have done it today. Coach Ken, thank you so much for coming. This was a transformative conversation, rebuilding, restoring, giving healthy relationship advice, finding out what's working, what's not working, so you can thrive and prosper in your relationship. That's what I'm taking away today. Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing. I love it. And you look, every day, this content creation, this is not easy.
Yeah.
We do. People think it look glamorous. I know. I do it every day. But I get it. But it's because if one person can hear my message and their life has changed, I got tons of testimonials. People who got married, people who life, people who were going to kill themselves.
Yeah.
And now they're thriving, married. One guy had a 45 to his head, and he said, I met you. And we had coffee together, and he said, you don't know this. But he said, I met him on Saturday. I was speaking at an event talking about relationships. He came over to my table, and he said, which book should I buy? I said, buy them all. He started laughing, but I wasn't laughing. He said, and he bought every one of them. He said, there's something about what you said when you stood up. He said, can we have, I live in near you, can we have coffee? Can we go to coffee at Starbucks, right? And I was like, sure. Then I'm more accessible. I said, sure. You know what he told me? He said, I, on Friday, was sitting out on my porch, found out my wife was cheating. I put a pistol to my head. And he said, I was going to shoot myself. I was going to kill myself. He said, but I didn't because I didn't want my children to find my body.
Wow.
Right? And he said, when I heard you on Saturday, he said, you, for some reason, gave me a reason to live again, to trust again. And here's what I told him. I said, I can't promise you you'll get your wife back. But I can promise you this. If you stay with me for 1 year, you will become a better version of yourself and you will attract the woman of your dreams. It may not be your wife, though. He said, agreed. He stayed with me a year and a half. He started dating, he got over the heartbreak. And during COVID, 2022, April 4th, I stood on a boat in Charlotte, North Carolina on Lake Norman and stood as his best man.
Wow.
With his new wife, his current wife now.
Wow.
So we have lunch once a month. Our schedules are busy. And I say that to any of you out there listening. Every journey starts with one step. You might think that at the end of the day that your life is over, you're too old, you're too this, you're too that. No, you're not. I said, but you got to be willing to take the step. You got to be willing to make your desire known to your Creator. Make your desire known to God and say, I am willing to do this work. I am willing to change. And then you will begin to attract a new reality. I see it every day.
I am willing to do this work. On that note, this is another one, a great one. Thank you, Coach Ken, for joining me. Vault Empowers, this is another good one. Be sure to hit that subscribe button before you leave so you never miss a daily dose of this wonderful inspiration, motivation, empowerment in your faith journey. Until next time, you guys, I'm your girl, Brandi Harvey. Eat well, give a damn, move your body every day. Peace.